Okie State, they're the homecoming game. Parade going on, and this woman, Dacia Chambers, drives into the crowd.
Yeah.
At the last I heard of it, somebody had guesstimated 50 mile an hour. But nonetheless, at a fairly substantial rate of speed, and several people dead. I believe 50 was the count that I saw injured.
Yeah, they air flighted like 8 or 10 people out of there. Just horrific.
And your first reaction is, okay, this person's high or drunk or some such.
Yeah, absolutely.
But upon further review, and we're going to be talking to a criminal defense attorney in this regard as far as where these charges come from. She's been charged, I believe, with second-degree murder. Is that the case?
I think that is correct.
But nobody brought up the fact that this woman is mentally ill driving a car.
Right.
Is what it's boiled down to. Her attorney saying that, and I believe the district attorney down there said, we don't think she was high or drunk.
Wait till get now some type of competency test back or something like that.
I have no idea, but from what they said in interviewing this woman, her attorney at least said, I didn't get the impression that I was talking to someone who knew anything at all about what had just happened, had no contact with reality.
Like blacked out or whatever.
So what do you do as far as letting people like that drive? You can't stop it, I guess. I don't know what you do.
Yeah, you can't keep them away from a car. There's somebody's going to throw them a set of keys, borrow a car. I'm fine. I feel good today. Or they get off their meds if they're on medication. That's the other classic. I feel fine. I think I can handle it. Let's stop taking the pills.
So we're going to talk to our criminal defense attorney about that, as well as where the charges come from and what will happen potentially to this woman. Eddie and Sterling, our guest, Scott Palmer. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
We're doing great. Scott, you're a criminal defense attorney. You specialize in this type of thing, vehicular homicide. And we were just talking about this woman, Dacia Chambers. She has killed 4 people, wounded at least 50 people. And they're charging her with second-degree murder. How do they determine these kind of charges, Scott?
Well, it looks like a second-degree murder tells me, I'm in Texas, so I'm not sure exactly how Oklahoma does it, but normally when you say a second-degree murder, it sounds like more of a manslaughter type of charge where the person is accused of recklessly causing the death of another person as opposed to being intentional or even knowing. That's the main question on this situation. I heard you guys talking, 50 miles an hour going into a crowd of people. I don't know if this woman was even conscious. I can't imagine someone consciously deliberately or even knowingly driving their vehicle that fast into this area. I don't know why there were even cars even in the area, but that's another issue. But I don't know if she had a seizure, if she was comatose prior to this crazy collision. And that's the issue. And that's one of the things that the district attorney is going to have to comb through and be able to figure out what was she doing immediately prior to. Were there other 911 calls coming in with erratic driving behavior before this, and was she even reckless? I mean, was she even in a state where she could even develop a mental state of all criminal cases have a mental state usually attached to them. DWI normally doesn't. It's either you drove the car or you didn't drive the car, and either you're intoxicated or you aren't. So there's not usually an associated mental state with DWI, but this is not a DWI apparently.
Now, what's the difference, say, between, you mentioned alcohol and drugs. What about someone who is on medication prescribed for a mental deficiency or some type of mental illness compared to someone who has a stroke or heart attack or a senior who all of a sudden hits the accelerator and runs people down compared to, meaning to hit the brake or something?
That's a good question. So if you're on any sort of prescription medication, again, I'm going to use the Texas example, anything into your body that makes you lose the normal use of your physical or mental faculties could render you, guilty of DWI. Anything into your body. It doesn't even have to be an intoxicant. It could be any substance whatsoever in Texas. It's pretty broad down here. Oklahoma law, I'm not sure how it works up there, but assuming that most jurisdictions deal with any sort of substance into your body. Now, an epileptic seizure has to happen for the first time somewhere, hopefully not when you're behind the wheel in a car. But I did have a client a few years ago who hit a child in a park. She went off-roading and, did not remember any of it. Sort of similar to this situation, no memory whatsoever. She had blacked out about 12 or 13 seconds before she hit this child. Thank God he lived, but absolutely no warning whatsoever that she basically was comatose when she hit this kid.
Scott,
I don't know.
Scott Palmer is our guest, criminal defense attorney, and to follow up on Sterling's point, Scott, talking about being under the influence. Let's, and I don't know if this woman was or not, but let's just say, since we're talking about her, let's say she does have some kind of a mental illness problem, and Sterling had brought this up earlier. She went off her meds, or someone goes off their meds. It's a reverse DUI situation. Let's say that they go off their meds and something like this happens.
Right.
What kind of culpability is involved with that?
I don't think it's criminal, number one. I mean, if you're told to take medication, you can only drive if you have your seizure medication. You can only drive
Correct.
if you have it on there. And you fail to take that, that would probably be reckless. If I were a prosecutor, I'd probably charge that person with getting behind the wheel and being reckless because they didn't have the medication. It is a reverse type of situation where you don't see that a lot. It's mainly people that are taking medication for the first time and they have an effect where it hasn't kind of, tapered off into their system yet, and they don't have the ability to control their mental and physical faculties because the medications are new. But people have been on medication for a while, generally plateau, and they don't have that problem, and that's why doctors won't let them drive for a period of time until they have gotten to that point. In most states, you have departments of public safety that'll regulate these with doctors, and they won't let you drive.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Didn't mean to interrupt there, buddy.
No, sorry.
It seems that when you look at tailgating and tons of parties and outdoor festivities, activities, people getting tank liquored up, etc., lots of crowds around, it's almost surprising that these type of things, even though she appears not to have been, intoxicated, at least in that fashion, that it doesn't happen more often where people are mowed down in crowds. Occasionally it does, thankfully not very often. When it does,
right.
How is that approached as far as liability or culpability for those people not protecting the participants, say, in a parade or along that parade route?
As far as the people the organizers of the parade?
Yeah. Because, everybody wants to sue everybody at some point, right?
Right. Well, exactly. I mean, you for sort of civil liability, you have to have foreseeability. Is it foreseeable that a car is going to come crash through a parade route and just do this? The answer is no. I don't think I've ever seen this in my 19 years of practicing law. You guys have probably you've probably never had this discussion on the air.
Correct.
About other people. We had one in Austin, Texas, last year where 4 people were killed in it was more of a drag racing type of situation. It wasn't a parade. I know there's not a very good parallel between this and the bombing in Boston because that was a terrorist attack. But this, crowds of people just lining the streets, watching a run or a parade and just getting indiscriminately killed is it's just the most gut-wrenching situation. And I feel horrible for her family. I feel horrible for her. Her life has changed forever. These poor people that were just standing there minding their own business. It's one of the worst situations I've seen in a while.
Tragic.
Scott Palmer, we appreciate you talking to us, man.
Thanks, sir.
My pleasure, guys.
Yeah, that's Scott Palmer. He is a criminal defense attorney, as he mentioned, in Texas.
Wow.
So is this woman going to go?
What do you?
I guess they don't know. They're going to have to, as we were talking, they're going to run a battery of tests on this woman a mile long.